And welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league as we shift our focus to the northern world of rugby league. It's your Challenge Cup Round 6, Super League Round 7 debrief. All the cup ties over the weekend. Some are interesting, others weren't, but we'll cover them all. Starting off with the Wigan Warriors taking on Salford and coming away with a 20-0 victory.
No surprise there. Wigan was in control start to finish. Salford were nowhere like they were in the rounds 2 and 3 of the Super League.
Well, no. To be fair, and it is to be fair, you were coming off a good result against the Leeds Rhinos before the cup tie, but your defence just fell off the cliff.
But it got there very, very quickly, though.
How so? Explain that.
Well, really, letting, four tries? Three tries, sorry, in across the match. I mean, yes, there was some patches, but it wasn't consistent enough. And a side like Wigan, in a competition where it's knockout, it's do or die, it needs to be a lot better.
The 2 tries in 10 minutes really hurt Salford's chances. First, the soft try. Liam Burns scores underneath the sticks. And then, I'm going to put this to you, a little bit of controversy, the Liam Marshall try. Does he knock it on?
I'm going to say he touched it.
So you reckon that was a knock on that the referee missed?
Yep. Knock on there.
All right.
What about yourself?
With angles like that, it is a bit touch and go. But in my unbiased opinion, which can come at hard sometimes, I think he didn't touch it, and I thought it was a try.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'll stick with the video referee's decision unless the RFL go back and have a look at it. But I think, why do it now? I mean, it's beyond the point. So I really don't have anything more to say about that. But Tommy Luai's influence over this game was evident to see. First, that kick to set up Liam Marshall's try. And then late in the second half, 14-0, Salford still with opportunities in hand, but just John Bateman puts it to bed once again off the boots of Tommy Luai.
Yeah, Tommy Luai, he's been a pretty good player and in pretty good form this year so far for Wigan, as has the whole team. So he had a massive influence in that game, and it definitely helped Wigan get across Salford. The
fact that he's the oldest man in Super League at the moment, at the age of 37, and still playing good in the halves.
Yeah, age is no barrier. Age doesn't mean anything in rugby league anymore.
Once said, "Age shall not weary them," in reference to Brad Freddie Fittler. But that's another topic for another day. I thought Wigan's defence was outstanding at the moment. After the last 2 weeks of getting hounded down by the Catalan Dragons and being dragged into a scrap against Castleford, I thought this is a very good response to both of those performances.
It certainly was, and it goes to show that if something doesn't quite go Wigan's way, they do bounce back the following week and continue on again like nothing's happened. So, no, that's a good thing about Wigan so far this year, and let's hope that continues on.
Well, they're definitely playing a lot better than they did at the back end of 2021, that's for sure.
Most definitely, they are.
Now, moving on to the next cup tie, Sheffield, the championship side, getting thrashed by the Hull FC, or the Black and Whites, either way you want to call it. 58 points to 12 at the Millennium Stadium in Featherstone.
Well, you're kind of expecting that coming championship match, a championship side up against a Super League side. You kind of knew this was going to happen, although Challenge Cup could have produced an upset, but it didn't.
It definitely could have, but Sheffield just crumbled in defence. I mean, you might as well have thrown the towel in at the half an hour mark because Hull were just in charge.
They certainly were.
No Reynolds, no Gale, but that didn't bother them.
They still had Jake Connor out in the field, who's...
Oh, and he was such an influence in their absence, as I mentioned it before.
You could say it all went one way. It's good that Sheffield got some points on the board, otherwise it could have been a lot worse, and it would have looked horrible.
What, more horrible than conceding practically 10 tries to 2?
Yeah. I mean, 12 points is better than having 0.
Yeah, fair enough. The kicking game of Jake Connor, just that short, sweet kicking game. And not too much power on it, but enough to get at the player into position. Andre Cervello and Connor win the hat-trick hero down at Featherstone. Where have we seen this from Hull? Regardless of the fact that this is a championship side, but where has this been for FC in the league fixtures?
I don't know. See, this might kickstart their run, having a good run in the league fixtures. You just don't know. See, sometimes coming up against, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but like a lower-ish opponent, like, a not so full-time team, that might kickstart the season going on. And that's what Hull FC might have needed.
Well, they have got 3 straight wins on the trot across league and cup ties heading into this weekend's clash against Wigan. So maybe we'll see how that goes. But I think we still got to be wary about the Jekyll and Hyde spectre that hangs over their heads.
Yes.
We'll see how that one plays out. Now, the reigning cup champion, St. Helens, expectedly, even though with no Knowles, no Lees, no Walmsley or Hopperwadi, they still went out and they did a job on Whitehaven. And out in Cumbria, 46 points to 4.
Again, I'm going to repeat. Top side like St. Helens in the Super League against the Championship side. But I kind of had a feeling play a full-strength side.
Well, injuries had to play a part in that, and it certainly was the case.
Well, true. But still, St. Helens without a full-strength side is still unstoppable.
What I saw in the middle of the field from Whitehaven was nothing short of abysmal. I mean, the soft tries, Sironen, Batchelor, Amor, Norman, that's practically most of the starting pack Saints had running out on the park out there, probably barring LMS and Parsi.
Exactly.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that having a majority of your starting front pack to score tries, yeah, it's not a good look for Whitehaven at all.
No, it definitely isn't. But again, class difference. We can't really read too much into this. And of course, Saints weren't entirely invulnerable the whole time. The scores were locked at 18-4 for a good chunk of the tie. Thanks to the Carl Dixon try.
It certainly was. It kind of surprised me in a way. St. Helens are probably just playing with them, let them somewhat get into the game and then put the foot down. And that's exactly what happened there.
It's exactly the way it panned out. And James Roby, right at the death, just...
He only played 5 minutes,
5-minute cameo, but 5 minutes was enough, and he still managed to score a try.
Yeah, exactly. He's unstoppable, James Roby. No matter how many minutes... He could have come to the last minute and could have scored a try.
I think this was a very good move from Christian Wolf. Just, you think about it, this is Roby's last year. Of course, we will mention this throughout the course of the programme. But starting to get Joey Lussick in the starting side and starting to build combinations with Dodd, with Lomax, and get him at the back with Wellesby in the forwards. Grooming the successors at Saints before it's too late.
And that's exactly what Wolfie's doing. And it's a good time to do it in a Challenge Cup up against a side that's not a full-time squad, like Whitehaven and aren't as strong. It's a good time to do it, and they used it to their advantage.
They certainly did, and it's a mouth-watering cup tie that will be coming up in 2 weeks against the Catalan Dragons. But moving on, Hull KR versus the Lee Centurions, and the Robins coming away with a 24-18 victory.
It was a good performance by both sides. I've got to say try for try in some parts, and Hull KR came out with the win only just though.
Mikey Lewis is really starting to get go. I think he might be a smoky for the World Cup side at the end of the year, and certainly the support play and the individual brilliance he had there. He put Frankie Holton through a hole for that first try Hull KR scored, and then the backup up after that. He just does it all, doesn't he?
He certainly does. He's been really good player for Hull KR this year, and he's shown that across the league and cup fixtures.
Well, he's practically being better than Jordan Abdul. I will say that. Lewis is that free rein to play his game, and it's showing.
Exactly. Jordan Apple took the headlines, not the headlines, but was the most dominant one last year. But this year it seems to be Mikey Lewis.
But hey, if Hull KR win, Hull KR win. But I'll tell you what, the ball movement from both sides. Oh, fast flowing football. That's what we like to see in this game.
And that's exactly what happened in this match. It was awesome to see. Bit unpredictable what teams were going to do when they had the ball at the end of each set and what could happen. And Centurions were just unfortunate they couldn't quite get away with it.
Well, Lee came up with a miraculous second half fight backs. All started with the Keenan and try, and that unbelievable passage of play that had Artun Garno in space, lost the ball, knocked backwards, knocked on by Hull KR, set restart. Edwin Ipape had the ball and hands it off to Jacob Jones. That was probably the best try of the day.
I'll have to agree with you there. It was a bit all over the place. It was like, oh, geez, what's going to happen here? It was a knock on or not, which it obviously was. And it capitalised on Hull KR's error.
I will say, Lee did perform well, but there was a little bit of controversy probably not long after that. And I'm not talking about on-field. I'm actually referring to private owner Derek Beaumont, who basically said there is no value in having either the Catalan Dragons or Toulouse Olympique in Super League.
Why is that, though? If they're good enough to be in the Super League, they deserve to be there.
Well, that's the thing. Are they? I've actually got the quotes up here right now, and I quote, "A strategic partner that comes to the sport looking at how they can drive it and make it worth more money, they will see zero value of having two teams in France. You've got 1/6 of the central distribution going to France, and there is no TV deal or sponsorship because of the fact Betfred can't show their logo out in France." And he also goes on to say they're bringing no fans over here to games, so there is no secondary spend from fans, but our fans are going over there instead of Wembley or the Magic Weekend, basically accusing them of creating a force against us and taking money away out of our game to do just that, saying it should just be England.
How are you supposed to get more people playing rugby league?
Now, I will say this. There is a bit of a problem with the TV funding at the moment. I mean,
yeah.
Toulouse have only had one game. Catalan and have got their own deal with beIN Sports, or it's the deal with French broadcast, and they still show the Catalan games on Sky Sports via Fox League down here. I mean, he's right about Toulouse not getting any coverage, but saying that there is no value in having two teams in France?
That's a bit too far. Yeah, I get there's stuff that happens behind the scenes that is sometimes out of control. Like the TV coverage, right? But of course, with the TV coverage, you've got to go with a more established side than what you've got to do with a newcomer into the Super League. Of course, that's going to happen. But Toulouse maybe should have had they've had how many TV games this year?
They've only had one. They're going to get one on next week against the Catalan Dragons. They haven't had many home games covered. They've only had one so far this year.
Maybe they should have had at least maybe another two so far covered in this short season so far. But yeah, there's something. I can see what he's saying in a way, but it's saying there's no value in having two French sides. That's way, way too far.
It's sort of like, I think it was argued this point before, it is no secret that the majority, if not all, of the Betfred Super League is centered around the M62 corridor running east-west from Yorkshire over to Lancashire and ending up at the end of Liverpool. Well, that is no secret, and the only examples of expansion outside the corridor that have participated in the top flight before: Toronto, London, Toulouse, of course, now, and the Gateshead Thunder. So the capital, France, Canada, and Wales. And of course Paris Saint-Germain at the beginning of Super League in 1995, but they quickly collapsed.
Yeah, that's just taken too far. So what's going to happen when the game it's still growing in other countries other than England, Australia, and the established countries. But when all those other players all retire and all that, you've got no young ones coming through, especially in France. I guess you got around the globe, but they can only do and play in so many years, and they have to try to retire eventually. And the less juniors that are playing in France, let's use France as an example, and less juniors there are, France could be gone altogether from the rugby league world.
Well, France was almost wiped out back in the 40s during the war. It managed to survive only just. It's been on its knees since the 70s when they kept getting smacked around by Australia and Great Britain, but now could be the time they could come back. But saying that there's no value. There was no value in French rugby union the moment league was introduced. No internationals could be played, and the numbers for French rugby league were growing long before the Vichy takeover.
But if there's no value in rugby league in France, why are they hosting the World Cup in 2025?
Well, that's only because the United States, tender lost all their money.
But still, if they weren't good enough, if there's no value in it, it's still playing there. So there has to be some value somewhere.
Now, speaking of the French sides, the Catalan Dragons, the one under where Derek Beaumont says there is no value, downing the Featherstone Rovers 27 points to 14. But I've got to say, Brian McDermott's side really put up a fight in the first half.
Yeah, they certainly did, which is, Featherstone are on part of the championship so far this season. So it was a good game to start off with. But then Catalans, with the experience and that, went eat my dust.
Well, not before having a good first half scare. At first, the slight ice through from Brandon Pickersgill to put Featherstone on the board first up. And then centre the centres. There's one-on-one strip to begin with. And then the passage of play that led up to Joey Leilua's first try that put the Rovers on the front foot early.
Yeah, look, that was a bit of what you could say, clever play there, you could say. From Featherstone there, trying getting around Catalans that way, and Catalans won't be happy with themselves letting tries being scored like that.
Well, they were just absolutely brilliant. I mean, the Pickersgill one could have been diffused successfully, and I suppose the first Leilua try as well, but that was just a crazy passage of play.
It was.
Hey, Hall's kick goes nowhere, scooped up by Arturo Romano, one-on-one strip, back to Hall, puts the kick in for his other centre on the other side of the field. Featherstone feeling good about themselves, but as you said, once Catalan got a sniff, Featherstone's right edge practically collapsed, a double to Fuad Yaha, and then probably most embarrassing, allowing Big Sam Cassiano to crash over at close range.
Well, it's close range. You're not going to stop a big guy like Sam Cassiano at close range.
Oh, no, Craig Hall. I'm just getting this all confused. Craig Hall.
Get your facts right. Nah, it's all good. We all make mistakes. But yeah, there's no way Featherstone were going to stop Sam Cassiano from close range. No way in the world. If they did, it would have been try saver of the year.
For anyone to try and stop Big Sam, it would have been a miracle if they actually managed to. A Tyrone May playing at standoff in the absence of Mitchell Pearce due to suspension. How would we rate his performance?
Obviously, he's still got a bit to learn because he hasn't played much league in the top tier for a while. But he seemed to go all right. Like I said, still room to improve, but the more game time he gets, the more he'll improve.
So I reckon stable for now, but back to the bench when Pearce returns?
Yes. He didn't do anything too exciting that will keep Pearce out of the side when he comes back from suspension.
I'll tell you what, Catalan probably lucky to get away with that one, with the slow start they had.
Well, again, they could have been doing what St. Helens did, play with them a little bit, like let them get a few and then put the foot down.
Well, we'll see how that one plays out in their next league fixture against the Giants. Meanwhile, Castleford, after several weeks of turmoil, something for Lee Radford to smile about. A 40 points to 16 thumping over the Leeds Rhinos. Talk about kicking in a Rhino while they're down.
Well, exactly. The Rhinos across the league fixtures as of late has been poor, and it's carried on into the Challenge Cup.
This was the first time that Jamie Jones-Buchanan has taken charge of the side, and I got to say, that was just embarrassing.
It certainly was. He was kind of thrown into the job at the deep end, you could say. Not much prep time between the round 6 clash and then the round 6 of the Challenge Cup. So things might improve. Now he's got a game under his belt, but who knows what's going to happen.
Kenny Edwards caused all manner of problems for the Rhinos' right-hand side. They just couldn't handle him. And I got to feel sorry for Tom Briscoe getting shafted from centre to wing back to the centre again. And rookie Liam Tyndall as well, trying to manhandle him. But that was just not up to scratch. And then, to make matters worse, Jake Truman, already the beneficiary of Kenny on the left-hand side, he comes over to the right. Beautiful ball sets up both Gareth O'Brien and George Lawler.
Yeah.
So they hammered them down Leeds' right side defensively, took it to the left, then brought it back over to the right again.
Yeah.
And both centres, including Liam Sutcliffe, should have been in better defensive efforts from them.
Oh, way better defence. They really need to improve their performance, individual performance there. But when a team's not performing well, you're not going to perform well as well. And that's what showed.
It definitely showed. And just Castleford were given free rein. That whole first half, it was free rein.
Yeah.
Bit of a stiff fight back from Leeds in the second half, but the intercept try from Greg Eden killed off any potential momentum they ever built up.
Yeah, I was going to say too little too late there from the Rhinos. But then, like you said, with Greg Eden, that intercept, that was just, that was the momentum killer. And that's what shut down the Rhinos for the rest of the match.
Castleford needed that. They got the result Lee Radford was hoping for to try and keep the faith with the fans. Meanwhile, JJB not looking good for his early tenure.
No, it's not. But who knows what's going to happen. This might turn around when he gets a few more games under his belt, but not looking good at the moment.
He needs to start winning and start winning fast because Leeds season, Toulouse get one win, that's a sniff, and it could be danger signs. I am seeing danger signs already.
Yeah. Well, Toulouse have already had a win, but if you say what you say, if they get another win, yeah, who knows?
Whilst Leeds have fallen off a perch, Warrington are just in freefall. I will say Warrington in freefall after going down to Wakefield twice in 2 weeks, going down 16-12.
I can say I predicted this one correctly. But
yeah, I'm a bit annoyed about that, really.
Look, Wakefield, they're in some form at the moment. You and myself probably weren't expecting Wakefield to play this well.
Warrington's second half collapse. And there was controversy. Kalepi Tanganoa, was that worthy of a penalty try for being held off the ball?
You had to look at to see if he would have got to the ball to score. I don't think he would have been worthy of a penalty try.
But was that a professional foul in your estimate?
Professional foul, but not worthy of a penalty try.
They started off so well with that left edge really attacking from long range efforts. Widdop to Wrench, and then, of course, Danny Walker finding Josh Fulis in the middle of the field. But then they couldn't find a response for the second half, where Wakefield would rock up, put 3 tries on them, 2 in the second half. Just poor defensive efforts, especially in the lead up to the Corey Hall try. Robbie Mulhern would have been much better in defence.
Way better in defence. Absolutely way better defence. That was very, very poor defensive skills there. And I just don't know what the go is with Warrington at the moment.
They've fallen off an edge. They're lucky that they still have a respectable sort of record, now sitting precariously at 3-3, more respectable than Leeds 1-5. But they've lost 3 straight on the trot.
Including this Challenge Cup match.
That's now 4 matches in 7 weeks. Darryl Powell needs to think of something and something fast.
Either, or if he doesn't think of something and fast, could we see him go, see you later?
I think he's safe for now. I think he and Lee Radford are both safe. But the Wolves, their season's stalled. Well, as for Wakefield, I think the shock result 2 weeks running. I don't think they're still a threat, but they are doing some good. They're in a rich vein of form at the moment. And it'd be very interesting. They're drawn against Wigan in the quarter-final draw. Do you see another upset again?
Possibly. I could actually see Wakefield beating Wigan. But we have to see how the league fixtures go before that.
Well,
because it does have an effect on it.
It has all the effect in the world, but at the moment, Wakefield's confidence must be going good after downing Warrington twice.
Yeah, very much so.
Speaking of confidence, Huddersfield, a little bit shaky, but got away with the win against Barrow, 30 points to 16.
What a match this was. I've really, really enjoyed this match. The scoreline doesn't quite reflect how well Barrow did.
I mean, to be fair, the Giants hit the lead early. I mean, with both, and especially with Sebastian Ikehihifo. Yeah, absolute units for them out there.
He had a brilliant game. What, did he get 2 tries?
One try,
sorry, and I think he was involved in another one.
Yeah, I believe that was also the case, but Huddersfield looked like they weren't going to be challenged, and that game could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Barrow, they did do long range intercept try.
Yeah,
that came from nothing.
Yeah, they created something out of nothing.
That was awesome to watch. Even the commentators were getting all excited.
And 20 minutes to go, you'd actually be mistaken to thinking the Raiders could force an upset here when they're only trailing by a single try.
Yeah, I thought that could have happened. I was like, oh, could we see a championship side progress through? But no.
No, Huddersfield just hung on, but it was a good start for Ian Watson, but a lot of improvement needed in the second half.
Still, yes, that's what they'll probably be working on for the next Challenge Cup match or even the next league match.
I think they were very lucky. They were leading by 8 with not that long to go, thanks to a Russell penalty goal, and then good discipline, forced a mistake from Morrow. In a senior scores, probably the try that puts the result beyond doubt.
Yeah, I felt sorry for Barrow when in a senior got that try. That's an error that could have been avoided.
Could have been, but I tell you what, at that moment, Huddersfield's defence stood tall and they made Barrow pay the price. So,
yeah,
interesting results. Odds, of course, expected and the unexpected, but that's what rugby league's all about. Now, moving on, we have got round 7 of the Betfred Super League. The Wigan Warriors and Hull FC open up the week's play. Bevan French named for the first time in a long time for the Cherry and White. It's been a while since we've seen a Bevan French. It'd be interesting to see how he goes first up.
Well, depending if he starts or not with the form that Jay Field's in.
Well, unfortunately, due to injury to Kai Pearce-Paul, that actually solves the problem. Hardacre will now, in my mind, and I think this is very accurate, but it could also backfire because Ian Thornley is also named in the 21-man side for Matt Pete. So if I had to say how this plays, Field stays at fullback, French is now the new right winger, Hardacre at right centre, Bibby Marsh left untouched, Thornley left out. Harry Smith going to be given another opportunity as well. Be very interesting to see how he goes. Meanwhile, for Hull, Luke Gale back after serving time for his ban. Be interesting to see how he tries and repays the Hull faithful for this one.
Yeah, it definitely would be. It's going to be hard, but see what he does.
Both had big wins over the weekend.
Yes, they did. They did. This one's going to be an interesting matchup. And whether or not Bevan French does play, if your predictability, predicted part of that lineup is correct, it'll be the first time in what? Months?
Since round 2.
So over, I was going to say over a year, but yeah.
Over a year? Where have you been? Have you been talking to Les Boyd again? How many teeth from Darryl Broman's jaw has he still got in that arm of his?
Yeah, no, I think he meant round 2 last year, sorry. I think he had a long-term injury, so round 2 this year. So it's been, what, a month, you could say?
Bit more, but close enough.
But let's see how he goes. But Jay Field will definitely be there. You can't not have him in your side.
I think if Wigan force this on their terms with their bullying defence around the middle of the field, and if Hull give Jay Field a sniff at all, you know they're going to be in trouble. High scoring match, I think it will bring a lot of stability to the whole spot. even though they're still missing a couple of players such as Josh Reynolds and Joe Cater. But all in all, I think Wigan will overwhelm them in the middle, and I think they'll come away 7-12 winners.
I'm going to say Wigan will win too. 7-12. They're just in way too good form at the moment.
Yeah, they definitely are, the Warriors. Now, the Huddersfield Giants will be playing host to the Catalan Dragons, with Theo Fars due back for the first time since round 2, you have to say, both with suspension and injuries playing this part. Of course, Mitchell Pearce and Jordan Desiree are missing for the Catalan Dragons, as are a whole host of players, including Michael McAlorum and Julian Bousquet through the middle of the field. But I'm not taking anything for granted with this.
No. Huddersfield could cause an upset here without the likes of, like you said, Pearce and the like. So, Catalan aren't full strength, but we know what they can do when they aren't full strength.
Catalan have been resilient when lacking all their quality stars on the field. I mean, they could have packed up shop in probably 2 of the last 4 fixtures they have played. But they didn't.
I was going to say, you had to look at how they were in the rounds 2 to 4 bracket.
Yeah, exactly. Again, and especially against the Leeds Rhinos, where that game really was on a knife's edge.
Yeah, so they were down some big name players, but they got away with scrappy wins. But then the last few wins for Catalan have been more like that we saw last season.
Huddersfield have been fairly decent over the opening 6 rounds here. Farge coming back in, partnering alongside Ollie Russell. Do you expect any difference to the Giants here in terms of game management?
Well, Theo Farge's return will help Huddersfield more than it won't help them. He'll probably just slot into how they've been playing. There probably might be a few things here and there that might be changing, like maybe how they attack. But especially with Farge with the ball and that, so there might be a slight difference, but not much.
Well, the return earning Chris Hill, McQueen, and Josh Jones also play a big part of that as well, having not been featured in the Cup tie against Barrow. So, final prediction. What do we think?
I'm actually going to say Huddersfield in a 1-6 margin. Catalans are down, but they're not out. But without some big name players, they will be vulnerable. And like with the return of Theo Farge and the others, that's going to help Huddersfield get the win.
I think if Huddersfield will try and throw everything at the Dragons, but I think they're just too resilient in defence to try and break down. You would have to really try and pinpoint their edges. As especially, I'd be looking at their right side with no Dean Vare. I'd be wanting to target at that, trying to load it up with Telly, Jones, one of the seniors. I don't know which one they're going to be fielding for that game, but I'd be wanting to load up down Catalan's right side defensively there. But I'm going to go with the Dragons, 1-6. I think this will be another tight affair right here.
Well, there we go. One says the home side, one says the away side.
Now, moving on, the Castleford Tigers playing host to Toulouse Olympique. Only one change for Lee Radford. Daniel Smith has dropped out of the team with a calf strain, with James Clare added into the side, whereas Sylvain Houle has added Junior Vaivai and James Cunningham to his side for the first time since round 2.
Castleford, who knows what's going to happen. Toulouse, they're coming off, a victory last time out?
Shock upset against the Saints.
Because they did play the Challenge Cup, so they've had more prep time than what Castleford have, which could work in their favour.
I definitely argued last week it could play big advantage to Toulouse, but after seeing the result the Tigers put up, I'm not really convinced now. I'm just like, Castleford weren't playing games. They were not playing games, and they made Leeds pay for their mistakes.
Yeah, they did, but Leeds haven't been the best of sides either. Out of Leeds and Toulouse, I think Toulouse are, at the moment, the better side than what Leeds have been in. But Castleford, after that performance in the Challenge Cup, it's hard to go by them.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I think even if Toulouse try and match pace with the Tigers' attacking threats, I just think they're going to lose more times in that instance. I got to say Castleford wins 7 points to 12.
Well, with the victory against St. Helens would have helped to lose its confidence in that, but I'm still going to say Castleford to win, and probably 7-12 margin.
Now, moving on, Hull KR versus the Warrington Wolves. Lachlan Coote back in the side for Tony Smith, as well as Jack Hughes returning for Warrington after losing their last 4 in both League and Cup. Billy Magoulias might make his second appearance. No word yet on Matty Ashton returning, but he has been named in the squad.
The rate that Warrington are playing, this could go the way of Hull KR. I mean, Hull KR haven't been playing the flashiest either, but they seem to be the better side than what Warrington have been in.
I'm not looking at Warrington with absolute confidence at the moment. I was going into round 6 of the Cup having confidence in them to bounce back, but after what I saw, I don't know if Warrington can play 80 minutes at the moment.
And especially losing back-to-back weeks against Wakefield, that does not help their cause at all.
Having Lachlan Coote come back in for the Robins at this particular time, I think this is one of huge importance. And it's that stability at the back, organising the defensive line, and then chiming into the attack. And if he and Mikey Lewis could combine on either side of the ball and either side of the ruck, I think I can I can realistically see a Hull KR upset brewing here. And I'm going to back the Robins to win this 1-6.
Would you even call it an upset based on Warrington's form?
Just the prestige of the sides at the moment, I would classify that as an upset. And the Robins, if they can match their discipline they showed in the elimination final just last year, they could go anywhere.
I'm not going to call this an upset because based on current form, but I'm going to say Hull KR are going to win. I'm actually going to say they're going to win 13 plus. Only just in a 13 plus bracket for Hull KR.
Well, that might be a little bit unrealistic, but I think anything can happen at this point in time.
Especially the way Warrington's playing.
Now, the big event. The Leeds Rhinos versus St. Helens, where the skipper, James Roby, will make his 500th career appearance for the Saints.
Yeah, that's a massive milestone there, and congratulations to him. Let's hope he scores.
That is a huge honour to play 500 match fixtures. Eat your heart out, Cameron Smith.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but James Roby, he's done it time and time again. He's like what? I don't even know how old he is, but he's still like a young kid coming through the ranks. He's that full of energy. He's there when he's needed, and he's all over the place, but in a good way, though.
Yeah, I suppose you could say, in a good way, the evergreen James Roby. Of course, St. Helens opting to rest Regan Grace after his return in the Challenge Cup. Probably best. That's just to try and calibrate his return from injury there. No Brad Dwyer for Leeds. He's been ruled out with a one-match ban, joining Zane Tetebano, who completes his 2-game ban this week, whilst David Fusatua has now had to go in for surgery and is out of action for the next few weeks at least.
I'm going to say it already.
Yeah, I think we've all been thinking this, but we've been trying to prolong the inevitable.
St. Helens 13 plus.
Saints 13 plus, I think, with the addition of Walmsley, Ian Morgan-Knowles back into the side. Still no Hopewadi or Matty Lees, but at this point, it doesn't even really matter if they're there.
No. My big call for the week, St. Helens also win 13 plus in James Roby's 500th.
How many tries did he score?
I was going to say my big clue is going to get 3 tries
for
the 500th.
All right, so you're backing him for a hat-trick.
Hat-trick in his 500th match.
And what are you going to do if he doesn't get it?
I don't know.
I'll think of something.
Of course you will.
Hey, that's what mates are for, eh? And finally, to cap off round 7 of the Betfred Super League, it's Wakefield Trinity against the Salford Red Devils.
Yeah. The form that Wakefield are in has got me worried.
They're on cloud 9. I will say that. They are on cloud 9.
So I was thinking, looking ahead before prediction time today, like a few weeks back, I thought, yeah, Salford will have this one. I've got second thoughts on that now because Wakefield, they've beaten Warrington twice in 2 weeks, and like you said, they're on cloud number 9.
If Wakefield can match the same discipline they showed against Toulouse, who's defensively speaking, and if they play the same way they did it against Warrington in both counts, actually, I see no reason why not. They can now make it 3 straight wins on the trot. Well, 4 now if you count cup fixtures as well. Yeah. I was thinking Salford earlier in the week, but after their defensive shutout against Wigan, I have now changed my mind on that front. And if the youngsters have still got that vibrant energy, and of course Max Jowett really the best dynamic Wakefield have got playing for them, I got to say Trinity win the 7-12.
Well, Red Devils so far this season, they started off the year with 2-0. Then they had that 3-loss winning streak. Then they won before the cup tie, and then they lost in that. Wakefield, on the other hand, started the year with 4 losses in a row, and they've won the past 2 league fixtures plus the cup tie win. I'm actually going to say Wakefield in a 7-12 margin.
Yeah, that's pretty much understandable there.
And with Salford's defensive performance, if once Wakefield get a sniff, they'll be see you later.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. And that is full time from us for this week. If you liked either this debrief or the NRL debrief that was up there yesterday, make sure you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and click the bell for notifications so you never miss a week of Rugby League. Hope you enjoy this weekend of Rugby League. The grand final rematch between the Panthers and the Rabbitohs is going to be a cracker. And Leeds versus St Helens. How many tries will James Roby score? And will Mark have to be thrown into the freezer again? Tune in next week to see if he's still here. Along with Mark Hendry, I am Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat. We'll see you next Wednesday.
I might see you next Wednesday, I might not, but see you in one way or another.